All right, guys, so here is our late review because it was under embargo. This is hopefully a Friday you're listening to this, and I actually did my job and released this on a Friday. Castle for Christmas, it's November 26th, released via Netflix. It is starring Brooke Shields, Cary Elwes. These are two actors that really are in the wheelhouse of me, Bruce Porky, and Eric Holmes because I'm 50, Bruce is in his 50s, Eric is a young one, he's in his 40s. So both of these actors have had their impact in our respective lives during our generation. A Castle for Christmas is directed by Mary Lambert, and she actually directed the first two Pet Cemetery films. So I'm assuming Bruce Perky and Eric Holmes were connected to Mary Lambert back in the day when they saw both of those films, and we can get their thoughts on those films as well when we review A Castle for Christmas. But obviously, A Castle for Christmas is not like Pet Cemetery, either Pet Cemeteries or some of Mary Lambert's more idiosyncratic works. I remember in 1987 she directed an Ellen Barkin film called Siesta, which I saw as a 16-year-old, and I thought to myself, I don't remember much about this movie, but I remember watching Siesta. I'm thinking, what the heck am I watching right now? I think I'm watching something interesting, and I just don't get it. This is a movie Siesta is a movie I really want to go back and rewatch. But even at 16, I realized that this director it was over my head. It was interesting to watch, and I'd like to see if it holds up after all these years. But this is A Castle for Christmas. It's not Siesta. It's not Pet Sematary. It centers on this best-selling author named Sophie Brown, played by Brooke Shields. She is in the middle of a crisis. The movie starts off with her. You find out that she kills off one of her beloved characters in her novels, and that this beloved character was based on her ex-husband, and that's why she killed this character. I believe this character is named Winston in her novels, and she's getting a little bit of blowback from her fans. So she decides to actually, for her next book, instead of staying in the big city, she decides to just take a nice little sojourn, a little vacation to Scotland, and there she finds herself really loving the neighborhood in this Scottish neighborhood she's in, and because there's a castle nearby the place she's staying at, and this castle is owned by this guy named Duke Miles, played by Cary Elwes, and he is a very crabby middle-aged guy who does not want to sell his castle, but he has fallen in financial straits, and he might have to sell the castle to the author, Sophie Brown. There's a lot of banter between both of them. One's a grouch, but Sophie Brown is sort of sunny side of the street kind of author. It's a romantic comedy. It's in Netflix. I don't know what to say about this. I'm going to have my own reaction because this is I don't know if Bruce and Eric know this. If it's with actors that I like these type of movies. Like, for example, The Princess Switch. I can't believe I'm saying this to Eric, and I can't even look at the screen. I'm not saying this to Eric and Bruce. I actually like the Princess Switch films because I'm a huge Vanessa Hudgens fan. So let's start off with you, Bruce. What have you got to say for A Castle for Christmas?
It started out and I really thought this is going to be Hallmark movie, safe, very tropey, all the expected romantic stuff. And then I was really surprised early on, like the dog dies, and then they go to the little inn and they tell them about the special place out through the woods to bury the dog.
Oh, no.
And it really changed things a lot. And then when they got back, the Duke was like chained in this basement and he only had a saw next to him, and I don't know how he was going to get out of it. It was really confusing, but it was kind of energetic and cool.
What happened to the little kid? Was the little kid okay?
He was a little different when he came back, but he was all right. It was still Christmassy.
Okay, so I don't think that's a review of A Castle for Christmas starring Brooke Shields and Cary Elwes. Eric, what did you think of the movie?
When the Clughorn Elephant Smasher came in, that was like, what the hell is this movie? Even if this... No, I'm just kidding. This movie's, this is, what they call it, no calories.
Sure, empty calories.
It's comfort food for some and utter torture for others. I lean more towards comfort food because I know my sister likes these type of movies, and so if you get in the mood for watching romantic comedy Christmas movie, this is that movie. It's not. I don't really know what else to say about it.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting about this movie. Cary Elwes starred in Saw, The Princess Bride. He's had an interesting career. Brooke Shields, I still have the one movie of hers that I really want to see is not Blue Lagoon, but the Louis Malle film, Pretty Baby. Mary Lambert, she started her career doing really idiosyncratic stuff, interesting stuff like Pet Sematary. I hear the sequel is pretty good. I know, Eric Holmes, you love Pet Sematary 2 as well. And I was mentioning Siesta. So you have all these artists, collaborators who've done really interesting work throughout their career, and here they are in this Netflix, safe, empty calorie rom-com situation, and I just thought it would be a nice, interesting mix to see how they worked it out. I thought they worked it out. I enjoyed it. But sorry for butting in, Eric. You were gonna say?
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, wondering if they'll get back together.
Yeah, you were a little bit.
No spoilers. I won't tell you whether they do or not.
No, yes,
because this is a spoiler-free review. But no, I think the most interesting thing was when I did find out this was the director for Pet Sematary. I'm like, really? It kind of actually gave me a lot more respect for her as a filmmaker. That she's obviously done horror quite well, and she nails the rom-com in this. I mean, whether you like this sort of thing or not. We talked with Joe Russo with Au Pair Nightmare. Granted, his was more of a horror version of it, but he nailed that kind of look and feel for those type of movies. And I just got to read off some of the videos that she's done. Like with Queensryche, Motley Crue, Without You, Bobby Brown, Rock With You, which is an awesome song and video. Madonna's Like a Prayer, and La Isla Bonita, Janet Jackson's Nasty. She's pretty well-rounded, and she's a really good filmmaker. Oddly enough, I didn't notice that until just now, so kudos to her for this. As far as whether I would recommend it or not, probably for the people that listen to this show, probably not. But like for my sister, I told my sister, I'm like, dude, this is coming out this Friday. You have to watch it. This is like so far up your alley. So there are people that like this sort of thing, and this is a really good version of that sort of thing. But also, if you're not into Christmas rom-coms, this isn't gonna change anything, I don't think.
Yeah, I recommend this. I recommend this movie, but again, to your point, this has a certain lane of people who are going to like it. If you like Cary Elwes, if you like Brooke Shields, this is value added. And if you are ready for this nice, innocuous rom-com, it's going to be fine. It delivers everything you want. Look, Mary Lambert doesn't go outside the box, and she doesn't do a Pet Sematary sequence. There's no wonderful shock you moments. There's nothing that gets run over by a truck. Yeah, Eric. Yes.
So there's two. I know this came out Friday, but the other episode that we did, we talked about Black Friday. There's two Christmas movies coming out this week. There's Black Friday, and there's A Castle for Christmas.
Yep.
We're more of the Black Friday crowd, but some people might be the Castle for Christmas crowd. So maybe you do a double feature of both of them. Have the person watch Castle for Christmas, and then they stick around and watch Black Friday, and then everybody's happy, just so long as no one's watching Bad Luck Banging or Lehmann.
Yes. Honestly, both those movies are the kind of movies you can have on. Like, you could just have them on, and while people are doing stuff and you're making dinner or you're whatever, and they're on, because like we were talking about, this isn't my kind of movie either, but it's really good at what it's doing from what I can see. It is like how the digital Yule log, right? It's just there to warm you.
In fairness to what Eric was saying, I think that's a really good point. Like, we want Mary Lambert to do a Pet Sematary 3 or 4 or 5. That's what we want to do as these kind of genre fans. I'd love for her to do a noir, but she gets brownie points for being able to deliver on something for A Castle for Christmas. I mean,
did you guys get the glasses?
What glasses?
You didn't get the glasses? Oh, Mary Lambert, she sent out glasses. It's like They Live. You didn't get those? If you watch this movie with his glasses on, it's just a horrifying horror movie.
Very, very good, very good. Yes, Mary Lambert, we love your work. Give you credit for A Castle for Christmas. Might be not our lane. Actually, it's my lane because again, I love movies. I really love these movies. Not Bruce and Eric's lane, but they're giving you brownie points for A Castle for Christmas.
Wait,
yes.
Can I just ask, Greg? So are we establishing then that porn and Christmas movies, those are your two lanes? Okay, just checking.
I think the listeners within the last 2 episodes realized that I like something out there like a bad luck banging for loony porn. My taste goes from there to A Castle for Christmas. I am all over the freaking place but at least we can agree that writing with fire is awesome. But A Castle for Christmas,
yes.
I had a good time. I liked it. I want to see, honestly, I want to see Cary Elwes and Brooke Shields and more stuff. So
that I can agree with. I was excited to see that we got a movie with Brooke Shields. Oddly enough, the last thing I remember seeing her in was Blue Lagoon, but the last thing I saw her in that she was actually in was Midnight Meat Train. Because I looked up her, I was like, oh shit, she was in Midnight. Okay, I gotta have to watch that because it's been a while since I've seen that. Blue Lagoon's like one of the first movies I remember seeing.
Was she in something weird like Freeway or?
Yeah, she was in Freeway. She was in Freeway. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they've had. It's always interesting when you have a movie like this where it has, and I mean this in the best way, it has a certain box that everything has to fit in, and everything, all the players within the box, they can do so much more than what is in the box.
Yeah.
But you're not creating a Jackson Pollock painting right now. That's not what people, they're not going to watch. They're not going to want the Pollock painting. They're going to want just a little, just a little nice little portrait of something sweet and nice, a confection. So it's I like that sort of friction between just these very talented people and how do they make this confection where they know that they can do so much more than what's afforded them, but they're still able to make something interesting. So anyways, that is A Castle for Christmas. I'm glad, you know what, I'm really cool that we actually had a constructive review of A Castle for Christmas and we didn't throw pot shots at the movie because, it's one of these things.
It's one of those things, like, this movie is what it is. Like, if you're not into that sort of movie, like, A Castle for Christmas, it's the movie that it is. It's not trying to be more. It's just, the empty calories, and sometimes that's fine. You don't always have to have braised sea bass for dinner. Sometimes you just want macaroni and cheese, and that's what this is. Or we talk about a cheeseburger. We usually talk about that with like a big blockbuster type movies, and sometimes a cheeseburger is a rom-com Christmas movie. The only mark I would give against this is it was very much lacking in Mariah Carey. This movie was begging for Mariah Carey to show up, either in a song or just her to show up in general. But beyond that, it is.
She should have been the talk show host.
Yeah, although I don't know if it's a spoiler, so I don't want to say who it is, but the talk show host they did have kind of worked, and I do like her too. So I'm not talking about Oprah. But it does a thing. Most of our listeners probably won't like this, but I cannot wait to show my sister this because she's going to be over the moon about this movie.
So she watches all those Netflix.
My sister is insane about Christmas, like dangerously so.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is A Castle for Christmas. It's one of these things I remember in 2000. I'm looking at this movie. Okay. Yeah. There's a movie called Because I Said So. It was released in 2007. And this is a little bit of a non sequitur. And it's directed by Michael Lehmann. Pop quiz. Do you guys know who Michael Lehmann is? What he's best known for our generation? Michael Lehmann?
No.
He directed Heathers. Okay.
Oh,
he directed Heathers. And then in 2007, I remember at the press junket, he did this movie Because I Said So, which was just, from my recollection, a very safe, really uninteresting romantic comedy. And he also did Hudson Hawk, which I think is unfairly judged. And he did Airheads. He did Airheads as well. So, yeah.
Airheads is lovely.
Right? Yeah, there you go. No, but so I'm thinking, here's this guy. He has all this talent Because I Said So. And I was seriously thinking, we were talking about, I'm sorry about that movie that you don't want to talk about, but there are scenes in Because I Said So. I think there's parts where I think it might be shot in Venice or parts of LA. And I'm thinking, why didn't Michael Lehmann and his DP decide to do, I know this is a really safe romantic comedy, but why didn't he do like a following or establishing shot and a long tracking down the Venice Canal? And why didn't he do this overhead? And I was thinking about, why can't you do all these De Palma really weird, interesting compositions on this safe rom-com? Why can't you throw that in the mix? And that was me 13 years ago trying to be so artsy-fartsy movie critic Greg, thinking that you could put all of this kind of flavor into maybe a confection that just doesn't need it. Bruce, do you think, was that a good idea to, like, sometimes if something's going to be a confection, is there something to be said about spicing that confection up or something, or just play within those parameters? Where would you go? I mean, it
depends on what you're trying to give. Like, if you're trying to give people the thing that they want in the best way, I wouldn't go outside the box, because then you're making a different movie. Like, kind of like we're talking about this movie. It would be a different movie if it went all crazy, So.
But I mean, you could totally do that. The thing is, that needs to be the movie you're going to make at the start.
Yeah,
we're gonna take the rom-com Christmas movie and turn it on its head, or we're gonna do it, but kind of I don't know, do all that stuff you're talking about. But you need to know that going in. You can't go, yeah, sure, we're gonna make the rom-com Hallmark movie, and then go in and then do the art movie, because then you're just gonna piss some people off and probably.
Or you have a parody sequence or something, like maybe they're actors on an art house movie, and you're making kind of a parody of the art house movie in the middle of the movie, and then everyone knows it, so it calls attention to itself, but it's part of the story. That could work too.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting conversation. I didn't know we'd talk. This is like a full podcast talking about Castle for Christmas. Before we go, I just want to know, just curious. Do you have a number one rattling in your head right now? Just like a number one for 2021. From what we've seen so far, it's only November. Bruce, do you have anything off the top of your head? I have one off the top of my head. Anything, Eric?
I have 2 or 3.
Okay, let's hear them. I have one.
I'm actually.
I have one. I carry you with me, or I carry me with you, or I carry you with me. So that's mine. Do you remember that one, Eric? Did you see that? Yeah, you saw that, Eric. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No?
What? Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Bruce, give me one. Give me one from your top one. Give me one that you really love.
Wait, was Psycho Gorman?
No, Psycho Gorman was last year. Yeah.
Oh, it was last year?
No, it's this year.
That movie.
Oh, it's this year?
It's this year.
F that movie. Okay, this year. Okay, so then you're saying PG Psycho Gorman. Bruce, do you agree? It's like right up there, almost a number one. For you?
I might have a dual winner. I might do one that's not art house and then one that's art house. So it might be like PG Psycho Gorman and Teton, or maybe PG Psycho Gorman and Annette. I don't know yet.
My goodness, Annette, what a wonderful movie.
I kind of want to put zeros and ones at the top.
Zeros and ones. Okay, with that, folks, we will see you next week.
That movie's like tied for like best and worst movie of the.
You know what's so awesome? Before we go, you know what's so awesome? We've seen so many good movies. Eric, you were saying this in the last podcast. Just a buttload of great movies this year, and there's so many more movies that we still haven't seen.
Yeah,
I think that could change. I hope My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To is still a top 5 for you, and I think
probably will be. I love that movie so much.
Yeah. All right, guys. I will talk to you next week.